Alright, what up, dudes? Today we're going to do a random tandem session. Actually, not totally random. We are in the Youngster server with Youngster Henry, I believe. Let's see, who is it? Yep. And he's hosting a little private session, so I don't know if it's private. But we're going to drift, and I'm going to talk about it. And this time the audio will actually be correct, and not just me talking with nothing else going on. I didn't even realize that happened on the last video. You guys are still cool for thumbing up, liking it anyway, even though it was garbage. I appreciate that. And now we're just going to get some laps on this random test track. So, take another sip of this thing. Let's do it. Never driven this track, so I don't really know what to expect. This little skid pad thing here. This is like a test and tune. I don't know if it's a custom map these guys have or what, but let's see. I guess we go this way. Kind of a cool wall ride right there. Hold on. Yes, sir, I'm ready. Lead the way. Ooh. Random sharp turn. Okay. Oh, shit. Hit the wall. Track's interesting. You can at least see well, but the walls are kind of deceptive, I think. Pretty repetitive too. Let's get up there. Not really sure where the next turn is, so it's kind of hard to be aggressive. It's much easier to be aggressive in tandem if you know the track well and you know exactly where the transition point is and everything. So if you're driving a brand new track, you basically can't get on someone's door that closely. Come on. See if I can hit some shit. A little bit of excessive e-brake by me, just because I don't know the track yet. Ooh, that's kind of a cool blind hill into a wall. Kind of got lucky not hitting it that first time. These Tando Buddies cars are what we're driving. I didn't already state that, but they're Tando Buddies on an HT test and tune track, and I'm not really sure what that stands for. But these cars do have really good self-steer, so they're quite easy to drive if you're committed to the throttle and you kind of just like know what's coming, I guess. You can feel it out really well. Unlike like my real car, if you guys have seen me drive my E36, you really have to lead the steering like all the time, and you can't just let it do its thing to be precise. I don't really know like a cool line that flows yet, so I'm just doing whatever. Woo! Apparently, you should not drop a tire right there. Go. Sorry, man, we're getting dominoed. Woo! I don't know where he went. That wheel speed up. Oh, we're gonna make it. Ah! That one's hard to connect with these cars. They don't have quite enough power. He hit me on the transition. Oh God! Going in. Not save that one very gracefully. We really need the Tando Buddies 420 cars for this track to really hit the lines right, because I could be filling some of these outer zones a good bit more with a little bit more power. Of course, momentum would do it as well if I eventually get really comfortable with this track and a bit more laps and get out there, but it's hard to do that right from the get-go. You really have to know the momentum line and where it's going to flow to hit the zones with low power. So uh-oh, keep pushing wide right there. This one's hard. Where are we going? Yep, hit a little grass to extend. Perfect, perfect. Third gear. Alright, I'm going to let him pass so I can get some follows. Oh, no, he's not going to pass me. Okay. Careful clutch work there and throttle just to not hit the wall. It's really close. Too shallow. I'm critical of my own driving quite a bit, if you didn't notice. Ah! That was spicy. Got to be careful in this view because we're on the hood cam, which I like the best. A lot of people like in-car view, but I get too distracted with the everything going on with the steering wheel and all that. I just want to watch where I'm going, which is what I do in real life. I don't really look at my gauges or anything unless something's blinking at me and yelling at me. So I like this view the best because the camera stays locked to the angle of the car. Sometimes, if you use a third-person view where it's just behind the car, then it'll rotate independently of the car's axis. So you basically won't understand exactly how much angle you have visually, which is something that's really important to do to successfully do the simulation driving. You really need to be paying more attention with your eyes and hand-eye coordination than you do with G-forces, because you obviously have no G-forces to feel. So you just have to really pay attention to what's going on visually and what you feel in the steering wheel. Force feedback wise. So watching with an unlocked camera where the camera can pivot independently of the car's drift is really, really, really difficult. It's I'll show you, for example. I'm going to screw up immediately when I do it. But if you notice right here, the camera kind of pivots a little bit independently from the car. So the car's kind of wiggling on the camera, and in the hood view you don't have that sensation. You have the camera locked exactly with the angle of the car. So you get this little wobble effect right here. See how that's kind of wobbling? I mean, I'm still doing decent at it, I guess, but it makes it very difficult sometimes. So let's go back into the locked view. See if he'll pass me on the inside. Nope. Yep. Sweet. Uh-oh. I'm just sure. Just tag the wall. Whoops. I think this car is a little bit grippier than that one. The Verosa is pretty much the heaviest car of the Tando Buddies pack. And I think the JZX is probably second heaviest, but it's got decent power. I like driving the JZX because I have a somewhat gripped up tune in this thing, and usually it's really hard to tandem with people if I drive one of the lighter cars, because I end up just running over them or not being able to stay behind them. So driving this thing, it sounds decent, got cool turbo noises, and it's a little bit slower than the other ones. Not the Verosa, but a little bit slower than the rest of the lighter cars in the pack. So it's easier to tandem with people that I don't know. If I'm driving with someone really good, obviously I want to drive a fast car and be in the same car as they are. So these cars are pretty evenly matched right here, weight-wise. This is a good matchup. Really need to get a triple screen set up so I can see just a little bit more peripheral vision. I still have to guess quite a bit when I'm throwing in these big angle approaching someone. I just have to rely on that arrow, and also rely on the fact that they hopefully don't hit the brakes or anything, because I can't really see that happening. Nice, big snap, a little bit too much. Whoops, sorry. Just left foot braking, but staying full throttle. Get that long extension there. Probably flat spot in the tires a little bit in real life, because that's pretty long e-brake drag. Whoops. Thought he was going to transition a little bit sooner. Uh-oh. Now where are we going? Over here. Go, go, go. What, did he not hit the brakes at all? What happened, man? He burst the brake line right there. That was funny. He came in like a wrecking ball, bro. So much of tandem transition timing is watching the other car's attitude and knowing if they're in control of the vehicle or not. Like, this guy's definitely in control of the car right now. He's not doing a bunch of weird wavering with the front wheels. He's mostly locked in his angle, so that means that he's confident in the amount of throttle he's using in his line and everything. If you see a whole bunch of wavering of the front wheels, then you know that the driver doesn't really have a good grasp on what the car is doing at that moment, or what to expect. But if you watch someone that looks really confident, you can basically watch his front wheel, and as soon as it angles up the other direction, you know, oh, okay, he's dialing in a transition, because that's how you do it. You force the car to transition by giving it slightly more lock, and then it goes the other way. So you can just watch his front wheel here. It's pretty locked, pretty locked, pretty locked. He's going to angle up just slightly, or lift. He actually didn't. He held his angle right there, so it just snapped from throttle. Whoops. Bumped him. But you can see, usually, if someone's trying to snap a transition, they're going to angle up slightly more on the wheel. I do it especially, so I'm like easy to read, I suppose, which you can view that as good or bad in tandem. If you're easy to read and you're predictable, then you're going to have really good tandem. But if you're in competition and trying to beat someone and you're easy to read, that's like a poker player with a really bad poker face, right? That's just not good. It's like me just like, I've got a flush, man. I'm gonna bet everything. But if you like are predictable, it ultimately makes for a better tandem. He went well there for sure. Shit. In competition, like I said, you know, being unpredictable, I suppose, could be advantageous in some areas, but that's also the kind of just like shitty driving, right? Like, you'd rather just be really predictable and have really good battles and not be some wild card where you're kind of just fucking up and it works out to your advantage. So, lock steering, good to know. If you see someone angle up right before they're trying to snap that transition hard, you also should be aware that sometimes people get overzealous with those snaps, myself included. I've done it plenty of times, but you'll basically angle up, try to get the transition to snap harder, and then spin on the transition. So, you know, kind of need to watch how much zest people are putting into it, and also understand how much angle their car has, and like what they can get away with, like how aggressive of a snap they can do before it becomes dangerous. Because, you know, more grip you put in a car, the harder you can snap it without spinning out, and then you can kind of get away with more crazy looking shit. But if you have, if you're on dead tires or something and you try to do something that you can really only pull off with new tires, it's not going to work out. Alright, and we may need to end the video here because my computer internet is freaking out. My ping just jumped up a ton. So let me see. Typically that means that the computer is spazzing out just because it doesn't have enough CPU power. So let's let that settle down for a second. It's still 145. I suppose we'll just end the video here, and I'll string another video into this one if it starts cooperating again. But typically this happens after recording for 5 or 10 minutes. The whole thing just like goes kaput. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. If I don't continue this video, thanks for watching that random tandem, and I hope you learned some random technique I blabbered about. And see you next time.